What up, man? It's your big brother K-Rino. We are here back on Friday night. Friday Night Live, man. We back, and even though I know that I was on here with y'all a few days ago, feel like I haven't done a live in a while, even though I know that I have. But glad to be back with y'all. And we're gonna drop some stuff on you today. We're gonna ask some questions. There's something flying around in here, man. But we're gonna oh yeah, I'm gonna kill you. There's something flying around here, y'all. We don't pay no attention, but we'll deal with him later. But question been running through my mind, man. What I want y'all to do though is hit that like button as y'all come in. Hit the like button as y'all come in, and we're gonna get into it because I kind of want to let it load up just a little bit before I start putting these questions out here. Some people might come in late and be like, "What y'all talking about? What's going on?" You know, or they may ask something that we already covered. But hit the like button as you come in. I see a few of y'all trickling in already. And I'm asking this question because it's really a question we got to consider now. Now, the question is, are we living in the worst times ever? The worst times in human history? And we don't really, we didn't live in the previous times, right? So, of course, we don't have anything to judge by in terms of personally living in 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, other than history that we can read and gather from that and see, what the conditions were and what the situations were. We can reference history. We can reference the historical aspects of scripture, or we can read about ancient civilizations and other civilizations and how they operated and how they were destroyed by God, why they were destroyed, and things of that nature. The people, how the people thought. We can pick up little pieces of that in order to kind of make our comparison. But quite naturally, we know we didn't live in those times. But there are some ways that we can gauge and to definitively know if we're living in the worst times that there's ever been, just based on some of the things that we in today's world have access to, that we know that they didn't have access to many, many years ago. So that's basically what the premise of this live is going to be, and we'll go in deep into it. But again, hit the like button as y'all come in. We're going to talk about this, man, and I would very much appreciate y'all's input. I'm not going to stay on long tonight. I mean that. I'm not going to be long. I think the only way I would be long is if the conversation just started really popping off, but we had to cover some stuff. But that would mainly be on y'all, because for what I have, I don't have a lot to lay out. But the first thing I want to do, really, to kind of give just a layout of it, when we ask the question, if somebody may not be able to quickly answer it in their own mind, you got to think about it. These are some of the things to consider. Some of the things that we have seen throughout history, but some of the things that we see right now on a regular basis. And those things are war, those things are racism, those things are crime, things are corruption, things are faulty religious practices, things are uh, mass shootings, mass murders, serial killers, um, depression, mental illness. And somebody might say, "Oh man, it's always been that stuff." And you would be right. There's always been those things. As long as there's been a time, there's been war, there's been corruption, there's been crime, there's been faulty practices. All these things have always been in place. But the way to know what level they're on in comparison is to know what level they're on. And the simultaneous nature, all these things happening at the same time. You really can't. it was a time, I'm old enough to even remember that was a time where that seemed to be only one major news story every so often. It just seemed like that. I could be wrong, but it was just coming up. It seemed like there was always one crisis or one situation that came up every now and then with some little minor stuff kind of flying under the radar. Nowadays, there's so many major problems going on, not just in America, but in the world simultaneously, that it's really, really hard to keep up. It's really hard to keep up with everything that's going on. Now, some people might argue, some people might say, well, man, that's just because, the internet exists now and you can actually see and know about everything that's going on, but it's always been like that. And that's a valid point, but I don't necessarily agree with it. I feel like just so many things are happening on a grand scale, man. So many things you got to deal with at the same time, and certain things that can't be ignored. Like, I can't just slide this to the side right now. I actually got to deal with this while dealing with that, while paying attention to that. So we multitasking crisis in this world today. We have to juggle our handling mentally and physically of crisis in this world, and the internet and all these different TV stations and all this thing. We grew up. We had what, 3 TV channels, 4 or 5. Once a couple came into play, there were like 5 or 6 TV channels. There were the 3 main ones that's still around: ABC, NBC, CBS. Then you had a couple little offshoots here and there, PBS and all that. And that was the extent of your television viewing at that time. Now there are people who literally have thousands of channels on their TV, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of news channels from different regions, different parts of the world that cover all these different things. And there's a constant eye on everything that happens in society. Everything is on camera, pretty much. Everything is viewed, and if it's not viewed by just a big camera, it's viewed by people who have their own personal little cameras on their phones. So nothing gets by anybody. So I get it. I understand from that angle. You might say, well, it just seems like that. But there are many things that the people didn't have access to. Think of all of the great nations that fell. What are the ones we think about? We think all the great nations that fell throughout history. Some of the first ones we talk about Babylon. We talk about ancient Rome. People talk about Egypt. We talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. We talk about all of these different countries and nations and cities and whatever it was that had rose to levels of prominence, and then they were destroyed because of rebellion to God. But if you look at them, and even when you read the history of all of the madness that took place in those regions, if you honestly try to compare them back then to America now, you could combine them together and they wouldn't equal what we see going on every day right here in this world. You can combine them together. They didn't have access. And if there was access, it wasn't the way access is now. So you got some guy who, they bust in his house to get him, and he's running, he has child pornography all over his computer. They couldn't store that type of stuff and access it 1,000 years ago. It ain't to say that somebody may not have been practicing that, because I'm sure it was, but they couldn't access it. Just, what, I'm in the mood to look at that. No, they couldn't do that. See? The weaponry that exists today, that didn't exist 5,000 years ago. So if there was a war that took place 5,000 years ago, what kind of weapons were used? Using homemade arrows made of, that they made chiseled out of stone themselves, or bow and arrow, or you got a musket. Every time you want to load up, you got to stuff the gunpowder into the thing, and then boom. Hold on, wait a minute. Got to stuff it back in there. It wasn't as advanced. So while the spirit might have been the same, the spirit to do these things and the nature of the people who were carrying them out may have been the same, it's on a different level now. Okay. You ever watched, for my basketball fans in here, you ever watched, I would say maybe, go back and watch some old clips of some basketball highlights, some NBA highlights from the 50s. And you see those guys dribbling around with one hand, only going one direction, can't go left unless they left-handed. They catch the ball and shoot, and they stop. And it's like just the game is just, guys are coming through and sweeping hooks, and then you look at a game today, and guys are crossing over and spin moving and throwing alley-oops, catch alley-oop through the legs and dunk it, and windmilling on a breakaway and dribbling through 4 or 5 men and up and under scoop layup. I mean, just advanced. Guys pulling up from almost half court, coming across the half court line and raising up, shooting a 3 in rhythm, and it's dropping. It ain't luck. See, there was a time when if somebody just heaved a shot from half court and it went in, everybody was like, oh, it's like the most amazing thing. But now you see Steph Curry, Dame Lillard, people like that, they'll pull up like that in a regular form and knock it down, and it's become the norm. So that's kind of how all of the madness that we see in the world is today. It's become the norm. So when we see just corruption and evil on a high scale, we kind of numb to it. We kind of desensitized to it. You scroll down the timeline, or whether you watch the news or something like that, you hear about, there's still certain stories that are so messed up that it still like catches us off guard. Like, oh man, how could this dude? How could he do that? How could the person do something? There's still stories out there like that get us. But if you hear about this nation bombing that nation attacking this nation, oh, this person, oh, they went out and they robbed these people, they did this or they did that, even down to the weather itself, which is God's weapon. One of his weapons that he uses, the weather. We see all these different things, weather patterns going on, and we kind of like, well, as long as it ain't in my region. This is next level type of action that we witnessing. This is just my opinion. And even the hearts and the minds of the people. Would y'all say that the people are a little more extreme in terms of the acts that people carry out? Would y'all say it's a little more extreme? Just asking a question. See? People don't, the nature of people stays the same for the most part. It can be tampered with and altered and, influenced, of course. But when you have access to do more, you do more. If it's in your heart to do more, good or bad. See, there's a saying that goes, money doesn't change people. It just reveals and brings out who a person really is. Because if I'm just a low down, sick-minded dude, but I'm broke, then all I basically have to stew in is my low down sick thoughts. But if the low down sick dude hits the lottery, now that's a game changer. Now that person has access. He got money, so now he got access to bring his low down thoughts to life. Because now, where he could only dream about an orgy with 9 women, now he can actually make that happen. Where he only snorted a little cocaine every now and then when he came across something. He had a little control over. Every now and then he'll knock him off a little bump here and there. Now, he can get a mound of it if he want to. See? He can buy guns. He can do out. See, it brings to life. It opens up the door for you to act on your lower vibrating thoughts. If your character is not in line to handle and to properly deal with what you now have access to, which could be money, which could be other material things, other resources. And most people's character are not lined up to be able to handle that. You give the right person $1,000,000, which ain't a lot of money. But I say you give the wrong person $1,000,000, he kill himself in no time. Because his lifestyle, he gonna go buck wild. See? And it ain't just money. Like I say, it's other things that you access is the key. So this world, over time, and through technology, through just the experimentation of just trying to evolve as people and trying to uh, invent new things and innovations, and just the way time goes, the necessity, which they say necessity is the mother of invention, necessity leads to the creation and the making of certain things. Like, okay, you know what? Or just the curiosity. It's like, man, you know what about a quicker way? We don't ride horses and carriages no more. What about a quicker way to travel the country? Somebody decides, okay, we're gonna come up with the locomotive. They came up with the railroad system and made the locomotive. Then from there, the locomotive, they came up with the automobile. So now these roads are not just dirt roads with the horses and the planes and just riding the planes. No, it's freeways and highways and roads where you drive a vehicle that can go up to 150, 160, 200 miles per hour. And that's the advancement. Not doing the same thing they were doing, but airplanes. Okay, let's fly. Would take 2 weeks to get from Houston to Dallas on a horse. Now you get to Houston to Dallas on a plane in 45 minutes to an hour. So there's good parts to the technology and the advancement, but you could also make that same plane to be a fighter plane that flies over an area and drops weapons on it, drops bomb. A plane can fly by and just drop a bomb and wipe out a whole area. So it's not what you got, it's how you use it. It's not what's invented, it's how it's utilized. And the way that it's utilized is based on the mind of the person who has control over. Same with people. What do you mean same with people? The way that a person is used is based upon what other person has control of their mind. See? So the people have been weaponized as well. They use us every day. They use y'all every day to carry out their plans, to carry out their ways. Some of us don't even realize that we're being used in that way or in any way. We'll argue you down. Ain't nobody manipulating me. Might tell me what to do. I'm doing the way nah, you are being used. You're being used because your actual dreams and goals and aspirations, if you had any, they will be um, subordinated. They will be put on hold. They will be suppressed because a need has been created in this society for the human being, for the individual to sustain himself or herself by having to work. Having to work for who? Having to work for somebody else to contribute to the generational wealth of somebody else. So you being used too, being used as well. Chemical experimentation, chemical warfare, they use you, me, other people. They use people in order to test out and try out their chemical weapons and their medicines and pharmaceuticals and all this different stuff. They use people in order to see how these things will work for whatever purpose they have for them to work. And whether it be a situation where you say, you know what, I believe in the science. I believe in the scientists. I don't believe that they had a kind of heart that would do people like that. So if I get sick, if I fall victim to this particular sickness or whatever, I trust the medical professionals. I trust the scientists to provide or whether you just don't have a clue, you don't know it all, you just kind of just blowing in the wind. Whatever the case is, they still using you. Because there's so many people who will urge us to do certain things, to take certain medicines, take certain shots and all that type of stuff. And they wouldn't even take them. They wouldn't even allow their family to take them. See? So who would do that? I'm not saying who would do that. I just told you they'll do it. Who would allow themselves to get caught up in that? You're going to present something to me and promote something to me as if it's good, but you won't even do it. That should be the biggest clue right then and there. So this is all part of the time that we live in, where the attack on humanity is coming from so many different angles and coming in so many different forms. You got to ask yourself the question, is this the worst time ever in human history that we've ever lived in? See? I'd like to do a poll. I'd like to ask y'all, what do y'all think? Meanwhile, hit that like button for your brother, man. Some of y'all ain't hitting the like. If you haven't hit the like button, you're in here in the chat, man, be sure to hit that like button for your big brother. Because we asking some important questions. Now, some people might say that it's relative. Some people, when you ask the question, man, is this the worst time ever? Some people might say, again, when I start doing these kind of subjects, my connection starts weirdly, coincidentally getting bad. But that's the whole thing. And it actually made me kind of lose my thought. Okay, I got it back now. The question I was asking was, what I was saying was that if you ask, is this the worst time ever? The answer would be, it depends on who you ask. Because there were moments that were terrible for some people, for particular groups of people, that were fantastic for other groups of people. See? So if you were in bondage, if you were in slavery here in the country and here in America, and Every generation of your family that you ever saw was made to serve work for free labor, and you saw beating and raping and deprivation on the worst scale. Then you might say, if you lived through that time, man, yeah, this is the worst ever. And that was 400 plus years ago. But if you were the one who were benefiting from that, then you might actually refer to that as the good old days. Oh yeah, that was the good old days. The good old days when all we had to do was just tell them to just shut up, and they'd shut up. All we had to do was tell them, hey, don't make eye contact with me. They put their head down. See, some people love and miss the days of oppression because they were on the side, they were on the fence, other side of the fence with the oppressors. So it depends on who you ask. See? That's why a lot of times you'll see these guys, they speak in codes, and how it used to be. I remember I like how it used to be. Yeah, I know you do. I know you like how it used to be. Then you'll even have some people that'll say, like if you take black people, for example, we have some of us who know exactly what's being imposed on us, and a lot of things that are still reflective of us still being enslaved, mentally enslaved. And they'll say, well, oh, well, man, it's different now. We don't deal with that anymore. Those days are over. We're free now. We got this, we got that. We have opportunities that they didn't have. Yeah, that's true to a degree. Yeah, of course. Those opportunities were built on the backs of our ancestors. So absolutely, you're right. But that don't mean that it's better. Sometimes there's a such thing called as a false sense of security. So you relaxing and you chilling like, man, yeah, it's better now, man. And it is better from a physical standpoint. It is better from other aspects. Of course it is. But in some ways, it's actually worse. It's not the same. Because the deception that has been imposed on us mentally, the way that we've been put to sleep mentally, and the things that deception has caused us to take into our life as being normal, it's killing us off the same way. So food, drugs, drink, different things, the things we drink, eat, and consume physically and mentally, they are playing such a role. They having such a bearing on us, but we are voluntarily consuming these things. So when you voluntarily consuming something, you voluntarily participating in something, it's very difficult to make a person who voluntarily consumes something and participates in something, it's difficult to make them understand that they're a slave or that they're being manipulated. Man, I chose to do this. Yeah, but why? What's at the root of that choice? What's at the root of that choice? See? If see, Satan, and I ain't talking about no red man under the ground with a pitchfork. Satan is so slick that he can subtly, not suddenly, but subtly, in a subtle way, he can just impose things on you that are dangerous to you and just have you doing it on your own. And you think that you're doing it on your own. But he gave you what? What's the word I mentioned earlier? He gave you access. Some of us are only as good or evil as our access to things are. Some of us are all right, but if we get access, he lost his mind. See, it's like somebody who was on drugs real bad, and then they were just going hard. They smoking everything out here in these streets. But something happened and they end up going to jail, right? So you go to jail for 5, 6 months. You ain't doing no dope in jail. You know, some they figuring out how to get in jail. But for the most part, you ain't doing no dope in jail. So you actually, in those 6 months while you locked up, you actually detox and clean up. So we all got them homeboys that was smoking real bad. Then they go to jail for a little while. Then you see them when they fresh out of jail. They looking good. Got their weight back. They ain't, night. They came up on some clothes. They all right now. It's like, man, their mind and thoughts are clear. They talking about, hey, I'm probably gonna get a little job, and they ain't talking crazy. They ain't all in your face, beamed up. They ain't, cause they detoxed, and they didn't have access. But the weak ones, a month later, a couple months later, you start seeing them. And people start talking. Hey man, you seen such? Yeah, I saw him. The first conversation is gonna be, yeah, what you call him? He out? Yeah, that boy looking good, man. He looking good. Yeah, I mean, he finally looked like he got himself together. He didn't have no choice. But then after a while, the next conversation for somebody that's weak, the next conversation is, man, you seen what? Yeah, he back out there, bro. Yeah, I saw him, man. He looking. I can tell he back smoking again. Because now he out in the world where he can get it. Because the mind wasn't strong enough. See, voluntarily and involuntary, that's a hell of a thing, man. See, when you have the strength of mind, then you have the power in your mind to voluntarily reject things that's bad for you. You have that discipline. But when you don't have it, when you are held back from it, when you don't have no choice, you can't get it. That's not always a clear sign that you got a strong mind. You just didn't have no choice. See? So you have to utilize the power of your mind and your power of your own discipline and internalize your godly power to overcome what's going on. So you got human trafficking going on heavy all around the world. And human trafficking, it's not just little children. It ain't just little boys and little girls. They snatch grown people. Grown men, grown women, they snatching you up. It's an industry. It's a business. Human trafficking is a business. You have no choice in the matter. They snatch you up. They bringing you in. They snatching you up. You got mass shootings. People blasting and killing and shooting and just waking up one morning and deciding, I'm going to go up to this spot up here and I'm going to just kill everybody that's there. In America is the main headquarters for mass shootings. Look at the chart. Go look at mass shootings in America compared to other nations and see how it compares in numbers in terms of how much you see that happen over here compared to how much it happens in other nations whose gun reform laws, whose weapon laws may be a little different, whose security may be a little different. It's a big difference. So this is going on, human trafficking going on. The political realm is one of the dirtiest, always have been, because you have these people that are at the top making all of these bad decisions, evil decisions, wrong decisions, some out of ignorance, some intentional because they doing what devils do. See? You have a judicial system that's corrupt. You have an educational system that's corrupt. Children ain't receiving proper education. People upset over critical race theory. This is history now. Now, because now we get to a point where people are like, well, you know what? We don't necessarily want the world to know what we did to those black people. We don't want people to know that. So we're not going to allow that to be taught in school. Or to my knowledge, they wouldn't teaching it no way. Anything I learned, the majority of what I learned about just the deep, deep levels of black history, the real stuff, not the surface stuff that they get. The most of that I learned long after I got out of school, or shortly after I got out of school, and still learning it. So critical race theory been around a long time, but it ain't like it was something that was really just prevalent. This is in my eyes, my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know in my school, everything was glorified. Every history was glorified besides our history. See? Even in religion, the religious practices of those who are supposed to be the religious leaders, the spiritual leaders, even that's corrupt. Even that's corrupt because the spiritual leaders, a lot of the spiritual leaders are more focused on money than they are in the salvation of the people, the transformation of the people's minds, and the liberation of the people. They're not really focused on that. They focused on, let's get some money. Mega churches and all these different things coming. Look, it's a business. But in the midst of you conducting this business under God's name, you cheating the people, God's people. So you are either as one of those type of preachers, you are either an atheist, you just don't believe in God, you using this as a hustle. You either are just sick, can't help yourself, or you the boldest dude or female on the planet that you would say, you know, yeah, I know these God's people, but I gotta get this money. This is the world that we living in. You got Catholic priests and different religious leaders who they like to mess with little boys. They like to fondle little boys. They've taken a vow of celibacy to be a monk, or they're a priest of some sort. But on the cool, they like little boys. See? Then on Sunday or whenever the service is, they stand up before you. Yes, my son. Yes. So all these categories of things that I'm naming, this stuff is happening at the same time. And like I said, y'all can easily say, because I would agree with you, well, man, this type of stuff been happening. Yeah. But what scale, what level is it happening on now compared to back in the days? So when it ramps up, it's like you said, where it been happening. Yeah. Cars been around. But I seen them change the speed limit before. I remember when the speed limit was 55 miles an hour, at least in my city. They used to have a commercial, stay alive, drive 55. But over time, they ramped it up. They shot it up to 60 miles an hour. Now most places is 65 miles. I don't know about y'all city, but 65 miles an hour. I've seen signs, depending on where you're going, that they'll let you go 75. So they ramping it up. We just in a day where all of the corruption has been ramped up. Hey, y'all hit the like button, man. Give me to 100 likes. Because I see we had over 100 people in here, so that means everybody didn't hit the like button. Stop what you're doing right now if you ain't hit the like button, and hit that like button right now for your brother. Give me the 100 likes, man. Let's get to 100 likes real quick. I told y'all we're going to hold y'all long, but I still got to ask y'all a couple of questions before I jump off. I appreciate that love, man. What role does technology play? Technology can be a great thing. It's been a great thing. It's been many great technological advances that man has concocted and come upon that have been great for humankind. But just like everything else, we use things seemingly more for bad than for good. And it trickles all the way down. I ain't just talking about the elites. I ain't just talking about Zuckerbergs and all these different guys who run these platforms. I ain't just talking about them. I'm talking about us, the puppets who use these platforms, but we don't use them in a respectful or proper way. We use them to get on there and cuss out baby daddies and baby mamas. We use them to get on there and talk about how much drugs we got and go live and smoke weed and blow the smoke into the thing, because that makes us look like, I don't know what we think it makes us look like. Men and women. Really hate to see women on there doing it like that. I ain't judging nobody. You know, you smoke, you do what you do. It's what it is. But that was a time where, you know, whatever you had going on, you at least had it in your mind. It ain't for the whole world to see. We didn't put our ignorance on display, but we do today, because a deficiency in attention that we've had coming up. We just felt like, man, nobody really paid attention to me. Nobody really acknowledged me. Nobody really showed me love in certain areas. So this invention of social media has leveled the playing field to where now I can actually turn myself into a personality or a character, and I can create and try to generate attention for myself, even if it's bad and negative attention. See, that's a sickness we got. Because some of us don't care if the attention is bad. We don't care. We just want somebody. We don't care. See, you see people all the time that do things, and if a news story comes out about it, they like that. Man, I'm in the newspaper. Man, they talk about me all over the internet. But because you killed somebody, because you went out and you robbed people. But in their mind, this is my 15 minutes of fame, my shining moment to be seen as somebody like, because I never got attention. So now it's misguided, it's mischanneled, it's mishandled, misdirected. I want it any way I can get it. Okay, never got no attention. They never paid no attention to me. Now I got a social media page. I can take all my clothes off. Talking about a female. I can get almost as naked as they'll allow me to get on the platform. Turn around. Somebody take the picture. How come every time somebody wants to take a picture of you, you got to turn around? Got to show them your booty. Got to show you my booty. Cause that's the money maker. That's the money shot. I got to turn around and show you booty every time they take a picture of you, or you take a picture yourself. Because you've been made, and we've been made to believe that we don't have any other value, any mental value. So I know how to get them. I let them see this donkey. That'll give me some attention. See? And to really understand how the individuals who control these platforms, to really understand how dirty that they really are, is as simple as knowing that they'll let you show your booty. Put on a G-string. You put on a bra and a G-string, you good. Because technically you're not all the way naked, right? And they'll let you show that. You can be twerking, smoking some weed while you're twerking, cussing, talking reckless, you can be doing all that. Your video is not gonna come down. But get on there and start speaking some truth. Get on there and start exposing exactly what I'm talking about now. You can just be talking about that. You can be on that subject. Why they let us post all this crazy stuff, but as soon as we post something real, you go in Facebook jail. As soon as you post something real, they strike your channel. They take your channel from you. They knock you down. Why is that? Like KRS One said, why is that? So that's a sign, that's a proof in itself that they are promoters and perpetuators of the wickedness. Why would they do that? Because they don't have an issue with us destroying ourselves. Y'all do what you want to do. Kill yourself. Degenerate as low as you can. We ain't got no problem with it. But the minute I decide wait a minute, hold on. Y'all said this one thing about this particular, and now it's showing something else. And wait a minute. Don't start putting that together. Because when 2 plus 2 start to equal 4 to y'all, they're like, no. We got to make sure that 2 plus 2 continues to equal 9 or something to them. Can't be in that mindset. So all of these things are tying in to the question, is this the worst time in human history with all these different things that we see? Let's do the poll. What y'all think? Yes or no? We're going to start right now. Yes or no? Are we living in the worst times? Now, people say, yeah, it's the last days. And they right. But in your opinion, you might not think it's the last day. See, it's a lot of people who don't subscribe to not just religion, but not even the doctrine, not even just, man, we don't want to hear about, man, people been talking about it's the last days since I was a little boy. My grandma used to say it's the last days. That was back in 1967. Well, while y'all answering the question, keep on answering the question. Because y'all don't understand what days mean in that context. See, we such surface dwellers that we just think of a day, a 24-hour day. No, I don't necessarily don't mean a 24-hour day. The last days represent a stretch of time that could be and has been decades. Because number one, God gives, he's so merciful, he gives everybody a chance. Like you're not gonna have no excuse to say nothing. Because I didn't say, hey man, this the last days. And they're gonna last to tomorrow. So you got 24 hours. Nah, you've been hearing about it forever. So if the hammer come down, you ain't got no excuse. When the hammer come down, you don't have no excuse. See? In the times of Noah, y'all know these stories. All we seem to know and talk about is that Noah talked about that it was going to rain, right? Noah said it was going to rain. I'll go back and check the poll in a minute. It seemed like the eyes have it. But all we knew is that Noah said it was going to rain. God was going to bring the rain down and wash out the world and the wicked. And wasn't the whole earth, but that's another story. But a lot of people don't really go into spoke it's gonna rain. Do y'all know he preached about before it actually happened? Knows the answer to that. Let's see if y'all before the flood actually happened. If it dips off, if it magically, the answer to the question was 150 years. Noah preached for 150 years about the flood before it actually flooded. He preached so long that people start saying they're making it be a bad signal. Let me do this real quick because I see my brothers cat are in the chat. We got a Klondike cat appearance in the chat. Hey, let's do this OG salute real quick. I need everybody in the chat to represent for my SPC brothers, man. Klondike cat, murder one up in this thing. I need some peace signs, power fists, salutes, 100s, strong arms, whatever emoji y'all could kick in to salute and show love to my brothers, man, who established this coalition and made it what it is. And I will have a commercial about what we got going on real soon. Y'all, man, right now, man, peace signs, salutes, everything, anything to show some love, man. I see 2 lion heads on there, whatever it is, man. See, we got 2 lyrical lion heads on there for Klondike Cat. See? Murder one in the building, Klondike Cat in the building. Hope I ain't missing nobody else. See, we got to pay homage to those who helped build this thing, man. And Cat, I got you, man. Got to get this song. Me and Cat got a song. Let's get with Cat got a song that he got me on. That's gonna be a monster, man. I ain't gonna tell y'all nothing about it. You know. Yeah, y'all keep it love coming, man. I won't stop to the love. I won't start to the love stop. See? Let's talk about one thing I forgot is the economy. You see how terrible the world economy is, but America in particular, the dollar is just slowly dwindling down. You're seeing all of these signs, all of these things that are reflective of the times that we're living in. And to ask that question, are we living in the worst times ever? Have you seen person? I don't care if you 30 years old. To your recollection, have you ever seen things as bad as they are right now? In every aspect. Have you ever seen it? Is this the worst that you've ever seen it? See? Let me go in here real quick, and I'm gonna backtrack and try to look at some of y'all comments real quick. Yeah, man, they tampering with me. See, they ain't cut me off now. So if I change the subject, if I start talking about hula dances or hula hoops or something, then yeah, we fine. But that's a sign to me that we're doing something right. See, anytime you are functioning in a society where you are being attacked for speaking the truth, then you're doing something right. But if you just kind of coasting along and nobody's bothering you, you're not receiving no opposition from any of the powers on any level, then you're not really a threat, you know. Or maybe they suppressed you to the point where they like, we ain't worried about him. We got him buried deep enough. The real says we know who's orchestrating it, but we should make excuses. We shouldn't make excuses for hurting each other. Nah. See, when you know who's orchestrating and we know who each other are, then that eliminates, it should eliminate the thought of us wanting to hurt each other. See, we going to war with each other when it's a whole nother army fighting the war against us. There's no excuse for our evils other than we are weak. Well, it ain't always about weakness, Connor. See, sometimes people do things people do wrong out of ignorance every day. Because I spoke about the deception. So if you have powers in place that this is how you're supposed to believe. This is what you're supposed to do. And we take that in, then in reality, it's like you take it in with an open heart, like, okay, well, I see, they tell you you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day, right? Remember we talked about that? We took that to heart, like, okay, yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast the most important. No, you're not supposed to eat 3 meals a day. So it's something that they just impose on you, and now we believe it. But it's making you sick because they're putting so much poison in the food, on top of the fact that your body shouldn't be eating that much a day. So now you're eating that much a day, and you're eating poison, you're eating chemicals and hormones and GMOs and all that. So doing wrong is not always a result of just being weak or having an evil heart or evil mind. Sometimes you just don't know. You just got, somebody made you. See, in the Quran, it says evil has been made fair seeming. I mean, what looked like it's supposed to be wrong, it looks right to us. It's all right to do. See? It's all right to tell a child, hey man, you want to be a boy, you want to be a girl, you choose. That ain't right. Well, see, you're oppressing those children. Johnny should be able to say he's a girl if he wants to. What does nature say? See? All of the potential that can be used for good going to waste or misused for evil. And we can just simplify life. If we just simplify, just keep things simple. But on the same token, all this that I'm saying to y'all, don't make the mistake of seeing how messed up the world is, and it is messed up. Don't let it drive you crazy. Because I've known people who just, they get so stressed out just watching the news. They get so stressed out, they get so upset when the heart of the men who run this world is revealed to them. It messes them up because they place such a high expectation just on the human spirit that it's like, how could you be that kind of way? Now you're dealing with a different kind of man. You're dealing with a satanic mindset. You can't put righteous expectations on a satanic mindset. That's just like them people who like to keep venomous snakes as pets. That's like the people who like to sleep in the bed with their pet python. The python ain't venomous, but he will wrap around, he'll constrict your behind, right? So these are the people who, well, no, I've been had this snake for 3 years, and I take him out and I feed him, and that snake don't care nothing about you. Oh, man, I let him slither around the living room, and then I put him up, and that snake don't care. You can have that snake as a pet for 90 years. The first opportunity that he gets to strike you, what is he going to do? He's going to strike you. And only a fool will go, I don't understand. I've had this snake. It's a snake. It's not a dog. And a dog will turn on you in certain situations. But for the most part, you can domesticate a dog, a cat. You can't domesticate a venomous snake because his nature is not something that you can tame and alter like that. Moves on his appetite. So we looking at these men the same way and surprised that they doing some of the things they do because our brain don't register that type of stuff. We look like, there's no way I would create something in a lab and push it out to the population in an effort to decrease the population and to kill certain members of the population and to cut the number down. We don't think like that. See, we scientists, but we not mad scientists. So when you find out that they think like that, and we messed up, oh man, I can't believe that they would do that. And some people still don't. Oh no, man. But y'all be talking crazy. Man, them people ain't worried about trying to. Why would they do that? Multiple reasons. Because you ain't dying, you multiplying. No matter how many efforts have been made to destroy us, we keep multiplying. And that's baffling to them. See? Then you got a pet snake. You got a pet lion sitting up in your house. Then the lion kill you. And do what a lion do. Then the people come along and they kill the lion. Even in the wild, somebody get killed by a wild animal because you chose to go into the habitat of that animal. Then the animal kill your behind. They come and they shoot that. What y'all shoot the animal for? And somebody breaking in your house and you kill him. You feel somebody breaking your house and you kill him, then they arrest you. It's happened, but it ain't right. So you go out there messing with that bear. Right now, we're out here with the bear. I'm gonna get a little closer and get a little closer footage of the bear, and then the bear just slash your whole face off. And they come out there and they kill the bear. What y'all kill the bear for? The bear was at home. The bear was in his living room. See? Crazy. So is this the worst time, man? And if it is, because a lot of y'all said yes, it is. If it is, then what should we be found doing in this time? What moves should we be making? What are some of the things that we should be doing in this time in order to not get swept up by the worst time? What's some of the things that we should be doing? Should we still be on social media talking crazy and acting stupid? Should we still be out here trying to figure out how we can scam somebody and jack and rob? And should we still be out here killing our own out here in these streets? Should we still be out here selling dope, using dope? Should we still be out here pimping and hoeing? They say pimping and hoeing is the best thing going. That ain't true. What should we be doing? We should be tightening up within our own selves and our own character to try to be better people and to try to get out the way. DJ Memphis Mix says, study your enemies. You better. But here's the deal. Before you can study your enemy, you have to identify your enemy. See, that's the difference. I can't study something that I have not identified. See, if I'm sitting in the classroom and the teacher says, okay, I want y'all to go home and study. Study what? Got a bunch of subjects. So you got to identify the enemy. The problem is we don't recognize who's doing all of this. We just think it's what it is. Hey man, they told you to get this here. Remember they told you? Remember they told y'all to get this? Remember that? Remember that? Remember all the things they said what's going to happen when you got that? How'd that work out? Found out they lied, right? Drop y'all locations, man. This is what's going on, man. This is what's going on. September the 10th. Let me get the glare off. September the 10th, man. South Park Coalition 35th anniversary will be in Houston, Texas, man. Y'all see the information right there. I made a video yesterday. Everybody in Houston, man, y'all need to be at this. Every member of the clique has tickets or will have tickets. If you want to get your tickets from me, this is what you do. Drop y'all locations in the meantime. If you want to get your tickets from me, that's the website right there, southparkcoalition.net. Put it in big letters. You want to get your tickets from your big brother, this is how you do it. But you can reach out to any SPC member because this is going to be one of the biggest shows of the year in the city of Houston. Want to be one of the biggest shows in the city of Houston. Y'all see all the information is on the ticket. You ever rock with us, you need to be there. Klondike Cat will be in the building. Murder One will be in the building. Point Blank, Gangsta Nip, Dope E, PSK 13, Cliche, DBX. Start naming people, I start forgetting. Let me stop naming people before I get in trouble. SPC 2G. You see where y'all at, man. Hebronville. Is it Hebronville or Hebronville? Yeah. So you got to have a clear mind in this day and time. You don't want to be walking around here high all the time and not knowing where you're at. Man, come on, man. Ada for that. Tulsa, Austin, San Antonio, Regina, Canada, Huntsville. I see you, Sister Donna. Hartford, Connecticut, Robstown, Texas. I never heard of Robstown, Texas. New Hampshire, Massachusetts by way of New Hampshire, Alabama. What's up, Jimmy? New England, Rosenberg. You'll be attending 2.0. You coming to the concert? Get your tickets, man. Look here. Look, it's a couple months away, but look, this ain't no time frame to play with. If you get your ticket, get them now. Because when they gone, they gone. Because when they gone, they gone. Columbus, Ohio up in here, Philadelphia in here, Galveston, Texas up in this thing, Louisville, Kentucky. Hold on, he lost a whole drop. Phantom Face, you checking in from the flat earth, huh? East Tennessee, H-Town up in this thing, born and raised. San Antonio again, Morristown, Tennessee, South Carolina. That's right, Diamond Dre is up in this thing, man. Bay Cliff, Texas, El Paso, Plant City. Yeah. Appreciate that, Troy Tucker. Those who feed off negative energy in the blood of children, they drink the adrenaline. Man. Dayton, Ohio, Montana, and Washington, Dickinson, Texas. Look, if you in Galveston, if you in Dickinson, Lamarck, you right up the street. You right up the street from this show. You got to be there. Hit me up. Y'all notice how the connection ain't bad no more? I went through my subject and now we on some different stuff. They kept on just League City, same thing. League City, y'all need to be there. Well, everybody need to be there. Come on down, Angel. Come on down, Angel. See? Lamarck. We in this thing, man. What should we be found doing, man? getting our mind together, staying sharp, and staying out the way. Stop wasting time in petty arguments and disagreements over things that are worthless or frivolous or nonsense. And if you do have to have a disagreement with somebody, stop doing it publicly. Stop the buffoonery on social media. Stop telling people to put up. You get to talking all like you hard, and what you gonna do to somebody when they pull up, and when you see them, and you know you really not gonna do nothing. Then by some chance something actually happens to that person that you had nothing to do with, they coming straight to you. Is this not you on your live saying that you were gonna kill him when you saw him? Yeah, but I ain't do it. I was just talking. See, no, don't just be talking. See? Our division against each other is another horrible thing that we're seeing in these times that's contributing to this being the worst time in human history. Our lack of unity, our disconnection from each other, man, our lack of respect for each other. Parents, children ain't respecting the parents. Parents ain't doing a good job in raising the children. See? Andre says 95% of people aren't living life, they're reacting to it. That's a good point. And we are reacting to it because everything about this life has been imposed on us. It's like they tell you what you should wear, they tell you what you should listen to, what you should watch, what you should eat, what you should drink. So we go after those things. What they say? They tell you what challenge to do. They make up a challenge and everybody does it. But while the challenge is going, while we out here challenging our heart out, something going on over there that's going to rip your heart out literally. Okay? Stop letting TV raise your children. I ain't gonna never condemn hip hop and rap music, but us as rappers, we got to do better. We got to stop making these songs that's bringing the people down the wrong road. We got to clean up our material, man. We got to. Got to clean up your material, man. Because that one thing that you say, that one crazy thing that you say, might have been just enough. Might have been the one thing that some young person heard, and then they, I like that line. Let me go out and do that. That one thing that you said. But on the flip side, that one positive thing that you said could have been the thing that turned them around for the better. Look, blood on your hands is a real principle. See? The people are so impressionable. And not just young people. I said that the other day. People always like to take the term impressionable and just put it and apply it exclusively to young people. Yeah, young people are impressionable, but older people are too. It's a lot of old crash dummies out there. It's a lot of older people who just following the wrong thing. You can just guide them along like sheep. He's 38 because they never have found who they are. So they still searching. And in that search, the right person can come along and just, come here, come here, come around this corner. Yeah, what's up? Knock you right upside your head. Say, big brother, but do you think that there is a better future around the corner? I think something beautiful is. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you asked that question because I couldn't leave y'all without saying that. Of course, Look, hey, look, God always wins in the end. God gonna win. So if God wins, that means his people are gonna win. The question is, are we going to make the decision to be one of his people? That's the key. So yeah, the future is bright, but not necessarily the immediate future. So what do you mean by that? A dark time got to come first, and a dark time is gonna come. See, a lot of stuff. It's see in the scripture it talks about wars and rumors of wars, famine and pestilence in the land. It talks about all these things that we would see in this time, right? And out of all the things that they named, all of the terrible things that we would see in this time that are we seeing right now, we seeing that. It went on to say, but these are the beginning of sorrows. So if wars and rumors of wars and pestilence and famine, if all that stuff is bad as that is, if that's the beginning of the sorrow, then how bad is the real sorrow gonna be? See, we got to read. We can't just read the words. We got to read into the words. So when you see that, okay, that lets you know there's some dark days ahead, right? But the way that the God work, he not gonna let it stay like that. You see, it has to be a cleansing of the toxicity in order to clean it. You got to clean out the toxicity in order to be able for the vessel to be pure again. We're in a toxic time, man. We're living in a toxic time in history. So it's weeding itself out. It's gonna weed itself out. It's the world. The old world is going out. But who's gonna go out with it? That's the question. So that's the whole point. It is a brighter future, but it's a dark future that's in front of that bright future that we got to go through, that we're gonna go through. See? All right, man. It's your big brother K-Rino, man. I ain't got nothing but love for y'all, man. I'd be wrong if I don't tell you what I think I know. Y'all would be wrong if y'all don't tell me, whether we agree or disagree. I'll catch y'all later on, man. Peace.